awful lot of members, who are in firms of 20 to 50, 20 to 70. And I know some of them are feeling a squeeze. You know, they're feeling, as the big four decide they want to go for more business, they go for more private companies. As that next tier down, they're feeling the squeeze now because the big four are coming down to their territory, so they're moving down. So you're feeling a squeeze when you're in that 20 to 50, 20, 60 person firm. You got an aging membership. You said gray hair. I tend to refer to myself as a more mature person. How does that?
It doesn't mean you don't have gray hair.
Not as much. We can talk about that later. How do you see that firm? What do you tell that? Is that if really you looked at our core members, that's probably the biggest group of our members who are in that 20 to 70, 75 person firm.
So we have a group we call the group of 400. We strategically identified this 6 or 7 years ago in saying exactly what you just said. That this group is going to be in a lot of, you know, challenging points. And the group of 400 is really firm 100 to 500. Okay, so we call the major firm group essentially the 100 largest up to the big four. So Grant to 100, roughly speaking. And I think, you know, what you paint is accurate. That there are many, many challenges. When we deal with that group around the country in that group of 400, and you talk about mergers and acquisitions and things of that nature, not 100%, but a high percentage of them say, we want to be an acquirer. We want to be going down channel and get bigger by, you know, acquiring, or we want to go across in our own size spectrum and acquire and be an acquirer. The fact is not all of those firms are going to be acquirers. That's just a pure fact. They're going to be firms in there that are going to have to go into an up-channel environment to create the type of economic outcome that makes sense, you know, viable sense in their size organization, or give them the competencies in a broader set of fields that their clients will demand of them. So I think that that's a given. However, what we also focus with those firms on is that there are opportunities to go down channel, particularly in a niched way. And you know, we try to work on the succession issues of how you identify successors, how do you strategically focus on where your opportunities are. It's not everything is your opportunity in that size firm because you don't have the resources to be able to do that. But you can be niched in certain industries or certain types of services that might go across industry lines that you can bring. And also, quite frankly, those firms have certain competitive advantages in serving clients that the bigger firms do not, even in the major firm group or in the big four. The high touch, you know, there are price issues that come into play and all of those things as well. And so each group has different value propositions, and what we try to work on is you've got to be willing to exploit that, and you've got to strategically look at what you want to do. You can't, you know, doing just whatever comes along is not a strategy, right? And so that, I think, is a big part of what those firms have to say. I'll tell you that when I first became CEO of the Institute in 1995, there was a Wall Street Journal article right around that time that talked about the death of what they called the large tier firm below what was then the Big Eight. And there had been a couple of firms because of liability issues that were in that group that had either had to merge up into the Big Eight or they actually literally went out of business. And this whole Wall Street Journal article was about why those size firms could not survive. Today, those size firms are probably the most profitable in the profession, okay? And so they not only survive, they thrive, and they have huge opportunities from you know, a go-forward perspective. I think that top 400 will have opportunities, but some will merge, and they can't all think of themselves as acquirers.
Is there a future for a 15 to 20 person firm?
Absolutely, the future. I mean, there's a future for a sole proprietor. If you want to, I think you have to be somewhat niched. I think you have to be an expert in a vertical. But I think there will be. Look, as we're seeing all these mega mergers, we're also seeing record numbers of new firms being formed, right? Because it's inevitable when firms move upstream or when they merge horizontally, there's fallout and new firms and new opportunities and new marketing approaches and new service niches. I mean, there's a probably a 20-person firm that all they do is what used to be called SAS 70 engagements, which is now SOC reporting. That's all they do. They are incredibly efficient at it, apparently incredibly good at it, and successful. And that's an example of a 20-person firm.